Is the United Nations going broke? The global body is $230 million in the hole and has sent letters to 37,000 employees, warning that stopgap measures are needed to cover payroll and benefits. In fact, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said Monday that the organization could run out of available cash by the end of October without some timely payments from UN member states. Some 129 out of 193 UN members have paid annual dues, accounting for 70% of the 2019 budget. And the UN is imploring its debtors to pay up, quote, urgently and in full. One of those debtors is the U.S., which has provided the United Nations major funding for over 70 years. The U.S. continues to be its leading payer, with its $10 billion contribution in 2017, accounting for 1/5 of the UN budget. That covered 22% of program costs and funded 28% of UN peacekeeping operations. But the Trump administration, with congressional approval, has cut its peacekeeping contribution to 25%, leaving an outstanding debt of $2.4 billion. The U.S. also owes $674 million for the UN's overall budget this year and $381 million for past years. Warning of a fiscal crisis for the UN, Guterres said, "Our work and our reforms are at risk."
But we have not yet addressed the regular budget crisis, and the situation continues to deteriorate. These months, we will reach the deepest deficit of the decade. We risk exhausting the closed peacekeeping cash reserves and entering November without enough cash to cover payrolls.
Member dues finance bodies including the World Health Organization and Atomic Energy Agency. The UN's discretionary spending also goes to organizations including the United Nations Children's Fund, the World Food Program, and global refugee programs. UN peacekeeping forces are operating in disaster zones and combat hotspots in 14 regions. The largest deployments are in Africa. 20,000 UN troops and personnel are in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, where armed conflicts have displaced 4.5 million people and left 13 million in need of humanitarian assistance, according to Human Rights Watch. Nearly 60,000 troops and personnel are in South Sudan, the Central African Republic, Mali, and Darfur, areas afflicted by war and searing food shortages. President Trump is pushing for significant reductions in payments to the UN, suggesting last year that the organization is taking advantage of its biggest donor.
We are grateful for all of the work the United Nations does around the world to help people build better lives for themselves and their families. The United States is the world's largest giver in the world by far of foreign aid. But few give anything to us. That is why we are taking a hard look at U.S. foreign assistance.
One country that's increasing its UN contributions is China. It now covers 12% of the organization's budget, up from 8% in prior years. China has also pledged $1 billion towards UN peacekeeping over the next decade.